Perfect. Hi, everybody. Hope that you all had a nice, relaxing holiday week and weekend. I am here with Megan Hale. We were both in Therabundle this year, and she has something so freaking valuable to share with all of you. I am very, very, very excited. And before we jump in, if you don't know me, I'm Gabrielle. I'm the admin of this group. I built my group practice to 7 figures before scaling it. Now I help you all do the same without burning out, along with lots of other things. And so we're going to talk today about money and this incredible blueprint that Megan has come up with, and she's going to share lots and lots of juicy info with you all. But I would love, Megan, if you would just start with a quick introduction so that folks know who you are and where to find you.
Totally. Well, hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you today. So I'm Megan Hale. I'm a business strategist and money mentor for coaches and therapists who really want to build sustainable businesses and also have a really rich, supportive relationship with money. So I am in the process of actually building my second company, which is called Dream Money, where I am building a financial app that is really helping close the knowledge gap that so many of us have as entrepreneurs when it comes to understanding our business financials. And my journey really did not start with money at all. I think that's probably why I'm so passionate about teaching this topic today. I believe sometimes our purpose kind of finds us, like we don't necessarily find it. And that's exactly how this showed up in my life. So back in 2015, I made the shift from therapy to coaching. That's why I still support a lot of therapists today, because I have that same background. But I was really struggling to figure out my business and the finances. And I really started to realize that I didn't have necessarily like the healthiest relationship with money. Like we had some layers that we needed to sort out. And so I had to create a system that made money like make sense to me, and that it also made it simple and easy to understand, so I wasn't feeling so overwhelmed. And what started as 3 ugly spreadsheets has now grown into this really, really beautiful holistic financial system that I'm going to be walking you through today.
Yay! Oh my God, I am so excited. Thank you so much again for being here and for sharing this with everybody. And as always, if you are catching the replay, make sure you put hashtag replay so that we get notified that you saw this and we can come back and answer any questions. But Megan, take it away. Where should we
Yes.
start?
Well, if it's okay, like, can I go like a little bit formal and like share some slides?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think you should be able to share. So.
Okay, perfect. So let me pop open some slides and we'll kind of just go through a little bit of an introduction to like the Dream Money framework, and then we'll get into some spreadsheets if that's okay.
That is
So
fine.
I will say, most people who come into my world, especially as entrepreneurs, we want to step into more money in our lives and in our businesses. But because of the values that we hold, especially as helpers and healers, it's not just any type of money that we really want to create for ourselves. It's a very specific type of money. And that's where the Dream Money acronym really comes in. And so when I'm talking about Dream Money and what this framework helps you create, I'm talking about money that is really deliberate in the sense that it's honoring of your time and your energy. I'm sure most of us know what it feels like to not have money that's honoring of our time and energy. Like that's the thing that leads so many of us to burn out, which I'm so glad like that's the work that you're doing, right, Gabrielle, of like really helping people create more sustainable growth. It's so incredibly key. But the other thing that we're really looking for here is money that is reliable, meaning that there's always more coming in, there's always more that's on its way. And we can really design our business models to be this way, and especially our marketing. So as one client is finishing, for instance, there's another client coming in. How can we really get strategic about setting ourselves up for that? The other piece to Dream Money is money that is easeful, which means that one, there's a simple to use system here. So this is the next one here. So I'll just pop it on the screen. That's abundant. But easeful money really comes from having money that is clear and it's simple to manage, and also that making more is easily available to us. I think for most of us, when we think about easeful money, we think about something that feels very familiar. We think about something that doesn't cause a lot of stress or overwhelm. And that's going to come from having a lot of clarity on what needs to be happening with your money in order for you to have the life or the business that you dream of, right? The fourth piece here when it comes to dream money is all around money that is abundant. And I will say the first thing that most people say when I'm like, how do you want money to feel? It's like, I just want to know there's more than enough. There's spacious money, there's plenty of money. And this one is going to be one that we're really going to help clarify today, because in order for us to have more than enough money, right? More than enough is the definition of abundance. We first have to know what enough is first. Okay. If this is our place of comparison, we have to first define enough. And then anything beyond that is now starting to step us into more than enough. Okay. And then the last piece of dream money is all around money that is meaningful. And this to me is probably my favorite pillar of this whole acronym, because it means that the way that you're earning your money is really aligned with your values. What you're doing with your money is also really aligned with your values. And the numbers that you're focused on are really anchored in your own personal definition of success. Okay. I know all of us who are in this online space, especially, or even if you're not in the online space, right? We all have a lot of messages around what it means to be financially successful. And it's really easy to use other people's financial benchmarks as your own. And it's also really common for us to constantly move those benchmarks on ourselves, right? So when we have a framework that really helps us stay anchored into our own vision, this is going to be so incredibly key for helping you create financial fulfillment. Okay. So when we have all of these 5 pillars really working with our money, what ends up happening is that we step into a relationship with money that starts to feel a lot more like this. Okay. And so if you want to take a screenshot right now, I think it's always super fun to say what word is showing up for you today. But the reason that I talk about dream money now is that money did not always feel dreamy by any sense of the word. In fact, most of my life, money felt hard, complicated, overwhelming, even wrong. Because there's a lots of messages that we all digest, whether that's in our transgenerational money story, within our family line, or it's macro culture as a whole. I remember going to grad school to get my master's in clinical counseling and just hearing over and over again, like, don't get into this field to be rich. Don't get into this field to be wealthy, right? And I know that that was probably well-meaning in the sense of, like, if you're going to go for, insurance panels, it's going to be tough to probably make really good rates, right? But there was also some things that were just baked into that message that it positioned wanting money and helping people, that those two things couldn't go hand in hand. And I really want to create a space where those two things can coexist. And it's really important for them to coexist, especially for helpers and healers to step into more money, because when you have more money in your hands, you're going to be using that money to fund a more just and joyful world, because that's where so many of our hearts are. So when we are kind of moving into this relationship with money, we have a few key problems that a lot of us are unconsciously or unknowingly doing that are actually getting in the way. And when it comes to deliberate money, a lot of us have unsustainable business models. And we're going to talk about your price points today, especially as group practice owners and the split and all of those things, because all of those numbers really matter when it comes to sustainability. Okay. When we're talking about reliable money, a lot of us have some short cash flow cycles, and this can depend on how you're structuring your therapy clients, how long you're planning on seeing them, and all of those things. So we'll talk a little bit more about that today. When it comes to easeful money, a lot of us don't have financial systems, and we don't have a simple way of really knowing what to be doing with our money. And so I'm going to be walking you through how the blueprint really solves a lot of this today. And then, of course, when we are talking about abundant money, most of us are focused on, like, what is the bare minimum I need to make just to cover things for this month, right? And so a lot of us stay in this month-to-month cash cycle, and I really want to help every single person break free from that. And then, of course, when it comes to meaningful money, most of us are not focused on the right numbers. We're focused on a number that feels like it's going to help us, like, feel financially successful, but we haven't done our due diligence of actually calculating what we need in order to be financially successful. And that's where the Dream Money Blueprint is going to come in. So I'm just curious for you, Gabrielle, like, what's vibing for you over there with all of
There's a
this?
lot. I have so many thoughts running through my head. First of all, could you go back to the slide before this where all the words were flashing? Because
Yes.
I would love to have people, as they're watching this later or whenever, do take a screenshot, like Megan said, and post it in the group, because I think that would be a really cool thing to see, and for us to have some more conversation around what shows up for you. But I am loving this because I'm like, do you sit in on my coaching sessions? I talk about values constantly. I love talking about values and being in alignment with those things.
Yes.
And also, my story is similar, and I talk about this a lot too, that when I graduated with my MSW, I said I needed to make $40,000 a year, and my advisor laughed at me and she said, "Good luck." And I've like
Hmm.
carried that with me for so long. And I even made a post in the group recently about this too, where someone in my family, I was getting lunch with them when I was living in New York, and my uncle, and he sat me down and he was like, "It's really cute that you are in New York and like, you're having a good time with your girlfriends, but like, let's be real, you really should just like become a teacher and maybe go to community college and just hope that you marry a rich man who will take care of you because
Yeah.
basically you're not worth more than that." So, those things I have carried with me for so long. And
Yes.
they still come up, even though I have done a lot of work around that. But I think we don't always notice or pay attention to those stories and how they impact our business and how we run our business because it's all tied together.
Totally. Yeah, and even how we feel about the money that we're making and what we allow ourselves to even want or dream of.
Yeah.
There's so many things that show up. So I'm grateful for you sharing your story. And I think every single, like, that's the thing about money work, is that every single person has a unique story to them, right? Of the messages that we've received, or we have financial role models that taught us specific things around money. We have our own attachment styles to money. Like it's like a beautiful web. Once you start pulling a thread, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so related. So I love it. So, well, my friends, okay, now that we've kind of talked about the 5 key pillars of dream money, which is money that's really deliberate, or being very intentional with our money. We're talking about reliable money. How can we design things so it's always on its way? We're talking about easeful money systems. So there's a lot of clarity and simplicity with how you're managing your money. Abundant money, which is probably people's favorite because we're talking about stepping into more than enough, where we don't have to nickel and dime ourselves. We know that there's spacious reserves there. And then we've also talked about meaningful money, with really thinking about what your definition of financial success is, and then actually calculating what those numbers are for you. Okay. And so this calculation is actually going to be one of the first things that we're going to do inside the Dream Money Blueprint, of really helping you understand how much revenue does the business need to be generating in order to make sure that your financial needs are first covered. And also, how much does your business need to be earning in order to also fund your dreams? Okay. And so let me introduce you to the calculator that I walk people through, that is really kind of based on this concept that I call good, better, best goals. Okay. Your good goal is going to be your financial stability number. Okay. This is the number that your business needs to reach in order to make sure 7 key needs are covered. And I'm going to walk you through what those 7 key needs are that we all have as business owners. Okay. I call this your good goal because once you generate this number, you're literally good. You're covered. You have that huge sigh of relief. Your nervous system starts to relax. A lot of good things start to show up at that number. But we also want to leave room for also funding our dreams, which is where our better and best goals come in. Okay. So let me walk you through these 7 key needs real quick before we dive into some spreadsheets. And then we will get into some spreadsheets, which people call me the spreadsheet whisperer because I did not love spreadsheets before I created this system, but I teach people how to love them. So when we are talking about your 7 key financial needs we have as business owners, the first is that your personal bills are covered. Okay. This is probably one of the biggest priorities that all of us have, because we need our businesses to fund our lives, make sure that our mortgage is paid or our rent is paid, our utilities, etc. Right. The second key financial need is that your business expenses are covered, because as business owners, it costs money to run our businesses, right? If you have a brick and mortar practice, I know that you have rent. Or if you are running a digital practice, virtual practice, you still have tech tools, right? Your software that it takes to run your practice. And so we need to make sure that these expenses are covered so you can continue doing your work in the world, right? The third expense is also making sure that your taxes are covered. So one of the things that I oftentimes see is that when it comes to tax time, taxes feel a little scary, and we don't know how much we really need to be saving. What if we're going to owe a big bill? And we can actually make sure that we're setting aside money throughout the year. So when it comes time to pay your taxes, whether quarterly or yearly, all of that money is sitting there for you and you're good. You're golden. Okay. The other key financial need is that we also want to make sure that we're earning enough to be able to save for our business. Okay. This is one of the things that's going to start moving you into that abundant money, meaning there's more than enough money. And so we're going to ask the business to go ahead and provide for that need for you. Okay. The next financial need is our ability to come along, mouse.
Always something.
There we go. Is that we have the ability to invest. So this is one of the financial needs that I see a lot of entrepreneurs look over. And what I mean with this invest is it's not necessarily investing in your retirement or investing in the stock market or investing in real estate. It's what do you need to be reinvesting back into the business in order for it to continue growing. Okay. So I would imagine that every single one of us has either hired a coach or taken a course, or we have CEs that we have to do every year, like whatever those needs are to continue investing in yourself, your skill set, or complete a project that the company needs, right, in order for you to move to that next level of growth. And so a lot of us don't consider this as a key financial need. And so when it comes time for us to invest in those things, it's like, oh, where is this money going to come from, right? We can ask the business to provide money for that specific need, okay? The next financial need is also the ability to hire. And depending on what your business model is, I work with therapists and I work with coaches, and those are very different business models. But if you want to hire administrative assistant, for instance, that like we need to think about how much does the company need to be earning in order to provide for that salary in a very sustainable way. And then the last financial need is our ability to give. For most of my clients, being able to be altruistic with our money is really, really important. And it also allows us to have a deeper connection with our money, because every single dollar that walks through your door isn't just about you. It's about helping fund causes or organizations or people that you likely will never, ever meet, right? And that's one of the things that really allows us to see the larger ripple effect that our money can have in the world, okay? So when we're thinking about getting to your good goal, where all of your key needs are covered, these are the key needs that I'm speaking of, all right? So our personal bills are covered, our business expenses are covered, our taxes are covered, we're able to save, invest, hire, and give, okay? The only other need that sometimes shows up is we also have a debt need. So if you have personal debt, business debt, that is another need that can also show up that will also weave in here, okay? So now that we've talked about these key needs, let's move into some spreadsheets for how all of this starts to show up, okay? So I know I'm asking you to look at a lot of stuff right now, so let me just walk you through all this. The first thing that I want you to know is we have our good, better, and best goals here, right? Remember, our good goal is here just to make sure that we're earning enough for those 7 key needs to be met, okay? And these 7 key needs are showing up right over here. Our profit share is our ability to save. Our tax is making sure we're setting aside enough for taxes. Our business expenses are paid. Our team is our ability to hire, okay? Our investing need is how much we can afford to reinvest back into the business to continue its growth. We also have our giving need right here, right? We also have our debt/gold need. So if you don't have any debt, we can start putting this into what I call a gold direction, which is like your long-term retirement and savings, okay? But for most of us, debt is very, very, very common. And so that's where this is showing up. And then of course we have our personal pay, okay? So I want you to imagine we just looked at all of these right over here in pretty slide deck form. And now we're translating all of those into spreadsheet form because we're about to do some math, okay? So over here in our good goal, we are going to calculate how much does the business need to be earning in order for you to get paid what you need to get paid, right? But for all of these other needs over here to also be funded, okay? And this is the most important financial milestone every single entrepreneur needs to know. From here, we're going to start adding on our dreams, which is what I call money motivators. Okay, that's what that MM is. And our money motivators, this is your opportunity to really define what does financial success look like for you? What are your financial dreams? What are the things that you want to provide for you and your family? And how can we get really specific with how much those dreams cost? Okay, the reason that it's important for us to get really specific here is that a lot of times we overestimate, like wildly overestimate how much we need in order to fund our dreams, which is going to put a lot of financial pressure on you and your business that might not need to be there. Okay. But when we can get really specific on what these core dreams are and how much they cost, we're going to be able to get very, very specific. Okay. The opposite, though, can also be true, is that we're wildly underestimating how much we need in order to fund a dream, which is why this calculator is just so incredibly powerful. Okay. So when we're filling this out, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be coming down over here to what I call like your little cheat sheet. Okay. So we're going to do the work of going through understanding how much it's actually costing you to run your business every single month.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's what happens on this business expense sheet, where we're going to go through all of your monthly recurring expenses. We're also going to go through your yearly expenses, right? And really calculate how much we need to be stewarding in this key direction, right? In order for your business expenses to be covered and paid, right? The other one is we have to also understand how much you're spending on your team right now. Okay. So if you have an administrative assistant, we're going to put their monthly salary in there, whatever that looks like for your company. We're also going to be doing our due diligence of looking at how much are you currently investing in your business right now? Like, are you part of masterminds? Are you part of programs, whatever that is, and totaling up your yearly investment amount for the year. And this is always highly clarifying for everybody who goes to the blueprint, because a lot of us don't have a way of really tracking how much we're reinvesting back into the business.
Yeah.
And depending on what your goals are, I mean, I've had hundreds of people go through this at this point, so I have a lot of data points, but a
Mhm.
lot of people are investing roughly around $20,000 to $30,000 a year in their businesses, right? On average.
Mhm.
So we're going to look at how much we need to be covering those expenses. And then, of course, the most personal and important one is how much do you need to be paid personally from the business? Okay. And that's where we're actually going to go through your personal expenses as well and look at what is your personal spending right now? Like, how much is your mortgage cost, your utilities, the activities that you're doing, whatnot, right? If you're in a dual partner household, we'll also consider your partner's pay in there. So we're really looking at the full financial picture here of what you need to bring home from the business in order for your life to be covered. Okay. The important thing to know about my approach to money is I am not someone like, you would be surprised when people are like going through their personal expenses with me. They're kind of like shy, like, what is she going to think? I like spend money on lashes and nails every month. I'm like, good for you. Like, these things make you happy. Like, that's awesome, right? This
Yeah.
isn't an opportunity to like scrimp and like pare down. It's like, let's look at what you're currently doing and how we can maintain that. Okay. But keep in mind, when we're going through your personal expenses, these aren't like your dream personal expenses. This is like current reality. Okay. When we're starting to shift into a different reality, that's where your better and best goals are going to come in. Okay. So on your business expense sheet over here, for instance, you're going to have all your monthly expenses listed out. All right. You're going to have all your yearly expenses listed out. And we are going to be able to calculate very specifically exactly how much it's going to cost you to run your business every single month. Okay. And I'm
Mhm.
also going to do you a solid over here in your business and personal finances. I'm going to weave in what I call wiggle room. Okay. This is extra cush money. So if you want to have some extra in your account for things that we haven't already listed here, right? This is another way that we can be intentional with stepping into abundant money. There's more than enough money.
Mhm.
Okay. So we'll have wiggle room in your business. We'll have wiggle room in your personal finances, and those are going to be dependent on your spending patterns. Okay. But then we're also going to detail out how much are you currently investing in your business right now? Certifications, retreats, masterminds, programs, courses, etc. Okay, so we're going to total up that number. And we're also going to look at your team. We're going to look at anybody who's in a monthly role with the company. We're also going to look at those yearly contracts, right? For maybe you hire a lawyer to get some forms or policies created for you, whatever, just a one-time project. And we're going to calculate that number. Okay, so high level specificity. But the cool thing is what this calculator does is it leverages your current numbers, which are specific and unique to you. And it's going to tell you exactly how much the business needs to be earning in order to cover all of those needs. Okay.
Mhm.
So I can always tell when people don't have a system like this, when I ask them, how much revenue do you need to earn? Okay. And they'll give me a number like 150K. Never in a million years is somebody going to come in and say, I need to make $119,147. Okay. But it's that specific. And this specificity really, really matters when we start talking about price points and split pay and all of those variables.
Mhm.
Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this calculator to say, okay, in order to fund all my 7 key needs, what's that number? And if I want to do that plus fund some dreams, what's that number? That's my better, right? And if I want to do all of that and then fund another dream, what's that number? Okay, so you're going to have 3 very specific, very personal financial milestone goals for the company. All right, and that's the first thing that we got to do when we're starting to understand what dream money looks like for us. How's this landing for you,
I
Gabrielle?
love it. I'm just like so tuned in.
I know.
Because it's just, again, I can't like say this enough. It's so valuable and so helpful because these are the things that a lot of us struggle with, especially as we keep growing and we move into group practice ownership or you scale in another way and it's not just you. You know, now
Yes.
there's other people involved and there's a business and you want to make sure that you're profitable. And
Yes.
another big piece is I sold my practice and I do a lot of consulting about that. And people ask me about that all the time. If
Yes.
you're thinking about selling, you need to have this shit in line years
Yes.
before. You can't be like, oh, I want to sell my business this year. I'm just going to like put together a spreadsheet and it's going to be all fine. Like you need to be on top of and understand your finances so that your practice is profitable and you can sell it for something because things, I mean, if you just don't know, I think can just easily creep in and we're just not aware of them.
Oh,
And
so easily. Yes.
and that happens a lot too, where folks will be like, I want to sell my practice, and then they get a valuation and they're like, this isn't really worth what I thought it was. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
these are the things you need to do
Yes.
beforehand,
Yes.
but it is worth something because you pour so much of everything into your business. Like it should be worth something. It's an asset.
Oh, absolutely. And I think like that's the beautiful thing about the blueprint. Like we're not going to go through all of the amazing things that the blueprint does, but you're going to create a blueprint every single calendar year. And so at the end of the calendar year, this is going to be a very powerful financial record for your business on how much it earned, what your margins were, right? How your money was allocated behind the scenes. So you'll be able to go back. Like I have blueprints from 2018, when I first created my first one, and it's phenomenal to go back and look at just how much the business was earning that year, how I stewarded that money, how I made high level financial decisions. And I have all of those for like years and years and years and years. And so if you want to be in a position to eventually sell your practice, having records like this and having a really good understanding of what your profit margins are is going to be key. And
Yep.
especially when you're able to say, look, as the private practice owner, here's what I've paid myself every single year. Here's the percentage of revenue I've paid myself every single year. That's the thing that's going to make a practice really attractive to a buyer.
Yep.
So all good stuff. So where we go from here, we're going to get clear on what your revenue goals are. Okay. And so the next step is, well, how are we going to reach them? Right now that we know what we're going for, how are we actually going to get there? And that is where profit stacking comes in. And so I created one specifically for group practice owners for how I would guide a client through this. And so when we go into profit stacking, what we're basically doing is we're looking at your whole business model as a whole in one central location. Okay. And this is where this gets really cool. So I want you to imagine on this profit stacking sheet. Okay. Now we're starting to stack all of the profit, all of the money that's coming into the business. And so let's say you're a group practice owner and you have 3 therapists working for you, right? Now, if this was your personal blueprint, I would put these therapists' names so they're not just a number, right? These are actually people who you work with. But for right now, let's say we have 3 therapists working for us, right? And let's say that this therapist, their price point per session is $100 a session. Okay. And how many sessions do they have a month? Well, we're going to say on average, they see 20 clients a week, every week of the month, right? So 4 weeks. And so that's how we're calculating 80 sessions a month, right? For this therapist, let's say they charge a higher rate, maybe they have an area of specialty that they can charge higher rates, so 150 per session. And they're also seeing 20 clients a week at that rate. And then we also have therapist 3, who is $100 a session, 80 sessions. Okay. And they're going to be seeing clients every single month that way, right? If we knew that a therapist is going to take a month off of the year and those clients would not be seen, like we can adjust that here, right? So let's say they're only going to be working 11 months out of the year or whatever. So once we get all this entered, what we're also going to say is, what's the split that we have between us and our therapist, right? So if we are receiving 60% and they're receiving 40, which I think this is backwards, right? The
Yeah.
company receives 40. Now that I'm looking at that, yeah, thanks. So we receive 40, they receive 60. And so after that money comes in, the practice is going to be making this amount. Okay. So once we have those numbers dialed in, you can start to see how this is starting to add up with how much the business is going to be earning, right?
Mhm.
And so here we can say, okay, based on this split percentage, because we can play with all of these variables. If we want to say, what happens if I go to, 35, 65? Like we can play with all of these variables just to see like how all of these numbers impact your bottom line.
Mhm.
Okay. That's where this gets really, really good, because now we can just go and modify whatever all of this is, and we can really build this out from a high level customized place. Okay. So this is going to help you really know exactly how much the business will net after your therapists have been paid, right? And what needs to be happening over here in order for you to reach your financial goals. Okay. And so what this sheet is going to do is it's going to pull over your good, better, and best goals. And we know your good is like, this is minimum viable revenue that has to come in for you to be financially supported. Okay. That's your sustainable financial number. From here, though, now we're starting to fund some dreams. And so let's say in this model, we've already cleared our better goal. That's
Yeah.
amazing, right? And now we have this gap of about 328,170 that we need to figure out, how are we going to close if we want to fund all of those dreams that this best goal represents.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you're thinking about having a revenue plan, okay, this is where your revenue plan is going to start to happen. What am I trying to get the business to do this next year to earn these revenue goals, right? And so a lot of times what happens is that people start filling out profit stacking sheet and they realize, oh, wow, I've been beating myself up because I haven't been hitting this revenue number,
Mhm.
right? When they start filling this out, they realize I don't actually have a way to reach that revenue number. No wonder I haven't been reaching it. And
Yeah.
so this is where it's going to really highlight the business strategy that needs to happen, or the restructuring that needs to happen for you to even have a way to reach your revenue goals. And
Mhm.
that's going to inform so many high level decisions that you make, from the number of therapists you might bring on, to the rates that they're charging, to the number of sessions they're providing, to the split that you want to offer them. Like, all of this gets to live in one central place, so you can see how all of it works together. Okay. So having this holistic bird's eye view is like, oh my God, I can finally see all these things in my business.
It's amazing because I can't tell you, actually, I would say that pretty confidently, at least 90% of the discovery calls I do, if not more, all of them are like, I feel like I should be making more money, but I don't really know why I'm not. I feel like the
Yeah.
money is in, but I don't really know where it's going. And like people just, you gotta do this work. Like, again, I can't say this enough. Like, this is just so valuable to have this written out for you so you can just see it. You're not guessing, you're not doing numbers on the back of a napkin
Yes.
and trying to figure shit out. Like, it's right here for you.
Yes. Yes, no, it's so true. And I think like the other thing that's so great about this, like, so eventually, I'm moving all of this off of spreadsheets into its own product, its own app. But for right now, the thing that's really cool about this is that you can map out different models, right? Because all we have to do is say, okay, here's one version that could generate this level of revenue. But what would happen if I started to shift some variables? Like, we can duplicate this sheet
Yeah.
and have version 2 and start working out different models, right? And as an entrepreneur, like, your primary role as the CEO is driving revenue that's going to support the growth of the business, and doing it in a way that's really aligned with your company values.
Yep.
Where that happens is on this sheet, where we're making those high level decisions and we're starting to do the math of what this actually looks like in reality. Okay. So this is one of the first pieces that we're going to go through in the blueprint. We're going to get clear on your good, better, best goals. Then we're going to start mapping out the how. So you have a revenue plan of what you're working towards that year, right? And then we'll be able to go into another exercise, which I call profit projections, which we'll be able to get really, really granular on what can we expect every single month, right? As clients are coming in and clients are going out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. The beautiful thing about profit projections is most of the time people are like, I want to make 10K months or 20K months or 40K months or whatever it is. When in reality, Most businesses are not going to have the same amount of revenue every single month. It's going to fluctuate. We're going to have highs and we're going to have lows, right? The most
Mhm.
important thing is that we have tools at our disposal to help us know when a low month is probably going to happen. Okay. Or when we know that clients might be graduating, we need to really make sure that we have a good pipeline of clients who are ready to start. Right. And
Yeah.
so when we can start to look at things from this monthly view, now we're really going to get a good feel for the highs and lows of our cash flow. That's going to allow you to steward your money on the back end with so much specificity. Because if we know a lower month is happening in May or June because people are off for summer, right?
Yep.
Then we know we probably need to be stewarding money and stacking it away a little bit more during these 4 or 5 months. So when June comes along, that doesn't put you into a bad financial spot where things are feeling really tight and really stressful. Okay. And so we're going to go through profit projections so you can really get a feel for that cadence. And then, of course, we're also going to be allocating our money as we are receiving it. So it's actually doing what you want it to do. Okay. And so I want you to imagine every 2 weeks, we're going to come in here and we're going to look at how much money the company has made. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, these are all of the financial needs, right? I need to pay myself. I need to pay my debt. I need to put some in my giving account if that's a personal preference for you. If you have an advertising budget, we can add that in here. Here's what I need to set aside for my team costs, right? Here's what I need to set aside for my reinvesting budget. Here's my operational expenses for the business, my taxes, and my profit, my business savings. Okay. And so what we started with good, better, best goals over here of really understanding these key needs,
Mm-hmm.
the allocation system that I'm going to help you set up inside the blueprint actually makes all of this part real. So each of these needs are being funded on a very consistent basis. Okay, so your money's going where you want it to go and how you want it to flow behind the scenes. And let me tell you, when you're allocating your money on a regular basis, you build so much money confidence on your ability to manage money and manage big money. Okay, so when we're thinking about stepping into a different relationship with money and building financial confidence, the thing that I often say is that we have to have strategy of how we're going to make the money. That's where your profit stacking is going to come in. Okay. We also have to have systems for how we're managing our money, which is where your allocations are going to come in. But we also have to have nervous system safety. Okay. Because we can have all the money skills in the world, but if we're not regulated around money and really doing the work to understand like what we've been taught about money, which is where this conversation really started, it's not going to shift the way money feels internally. Okay. And so this framework works on those 3 levels. We build the strategy, we incorporate the systems, and then we also do the internal work of really dismantling any narrative that we're holding, right? Or that's been passed down to us. That's impacting our ability to trust money, to appreciate money, to feel safe with money, feel good about money, whatever that is for you. So you can step into your version of dream money. Okay. So I'm obsessed with this. This is a tool that I use every single day. It's also a tool that my clients use every single day. And the cool thing is, once you get your first blueprint up and rolling, this is a tool like you're going to use it every single year. So the ROI, like the return on investment, is ridiculous. Like people have been using this for literally 5+ years to really understand what their business plan is for the year, what their margins are, what their goals are, all of those things. Because as we reach goals, my friends, right? We need to set all new ones.
Yep.
Once we fund this house renovation, for example, what comes next, right? What are we pursuing the next calendar year? So, any questions about that before I share like how this all works and etc.?
Well, I just want to say that I appreciate you bringing up nervous systems because that's my other area of expertise. And so, anybody who's been following me for a minute knows that I don't ever shut up about polyvagal theory and how that shows up for us in leadership and running our businesses. And when I do retreat work, like we do all of that. So, I love that that is such a huge part of this because, again, it something we don't really think about, but it's all tied in there, and you can't make good
Yes.
decisions if you're in fight or flight. So, there's that. And then I also just wanted to say that Catherine is watching live with us, and she just said she is liking the spreadsheet, and in 10 years, she's never gotten around to doing this, and she just wanted to thank you for sharing. So,
Oh, good.
I think this is just really, really, really valuable. I see a couple other people watching live. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, of course, make sure you put hashtag replay so we can come back and answer any questions you have.
Yeah, would be delighted to. So I think where I'll leave us all today is kind of what's happening right now, like in my business and how you can get access to the Dream Money Blueprint. And so I want to just walk you through this page that'll give you all the info. Let me just pull it up real quick. So if you go to app.meganhale.co, this is going to take you to the Dream Money page, okay? And so when we're on the Dream Money page, this is going to introduce you to the Dream Money Blueprint, okay? And you can read all about it. We have our deliberate, reliable, easeful, abundant, meaningful money right here, right? Like that's what we're stepping into with this system. Here's our vision. Here's an example of everything you get with the blueprint, because you'll get the spreadsheet that I just presented today. There's also a self-paced course that you'll get access to that walks you through how to set up your blueprint. Okay, so how to fill out every single one of these sheets. So that is also available for you when you join. There's also a workbook to really help you get clear on what your money motivators are, those things that are really going to anchor you into your personal definition of financial success. Okay. So all of that is there for you when you join. The blueprint is $9.97. Okay, $9.97. And here's the cool thing about the blueprint. When you purchase the Dream Money Blueprint, there's also an 8-week live program that's starting January 10th through March 6th, where we are going to be re-examining your transgenerational money story for all of the beliefs that we have been handed down, right? And really starting to anchor ourselves in what our financial truth is. What do we want our financial beliefs to be? Because we cannot create nervous system safety if we're still carrying messages that are telling us something is wrong or not okay. Okay. And so we have to dismantle first. That's going to be foundational for creating the safety. Okay. So that's month 1 inside this live program. But then month 2 is now we're going to start building the money practice of actually meeting with our money regularly. Okay. If you want to create safety with something, safety is going to come through intimacy. Okay, we cannot have safety with something we do not intimately know. And in order for us to intimately know money, we need to be meeting with it regularly. Okay, so that last 30 days is going to be a live money practice that I'm going to walk you through. For now that we have some curiosity and some introspection of like what we're holding around money, now let's actually do the work of meeting with our money. So we're opening a window for some of those things to be activated. Okay, there is some exposure therapy baked into this. I'll just go ahead and tell you. But it's the exposure therapy that is like life-changing, okay? Because as we're starting to meet with our money, certain things are going to get activated. And it's going to be somebody else's voice or somebody else's fear. And we get to be really intentional saying, that's not what I choose to believe anymore. This is my financial truth. This is what I'm holding as true, okay? So when you get the Dream Money Blueprint, we are going to not only get this system set up and running in your business, okay, but you're also going to get access to that 60-day live program that's starting in January with me, okay? And that program is $1,500 value, and you get it for free when you become what I call a funding dreamer. Because again, I'm building this app, okay? And I want to leverage the current system that exists in Google Sheets to not only get this tool up and running in your business now while I'm building the app, right? But we also get to build a really beautiful community as we get this whole new movement going, okay? So the funding dreamers, you're gonna get the full blueprint for $9.97. You'll get the 60-day live program with me, okay? That starts January 10th. And if you want to just kind of get a feel for this, right? We also have another level, which is called being a founding dreamer. Okay. And the founding dreamer, you just get access to the Dream Money Calculator. You're not going to get any of the other like revenue planning tools. You're just going to get access to your business expenses, your personal expenses, good, better, best goals. And I'm also going to give you pre-good, better, best goals. Okay. So if you're just starting off in your business, this is where I want you hanging out, because we're not going to be funding all of these financial needs right off the bat, even though that's goals, okay? But we need to have some really solid milestones that are moving you in that direction, which is where your pre-GBV goals come in, okay? So if you want to be a founding dreamer, you can get in for $247, get access to that calculator. All right. But if you are loving all of this, highly encourage, like the best value is very much here. You not only get the blueprint lifetime access to it, the course that comes with it, but you also get the live program that's happening in January. So definitely check out all the details here. And if you have any questions, feel free to send me a DM on Facebook, Instagram, any of the things.
That is a huge value. I just want to
I
say
know. I'm so excited. I'm so
that.
excited. But it's really, it really is like the three-part piece, right? Like we have to have the strategy and the systems and the safety. And
Yeah.
how can we really create all three? Which I'm so excited about the live program that's happening in the new year. It's gonna be such a great way to start the new year too,
I was
right?
just gonna say, like, that's just perfect timing for 2024. And I feel that there is a really big shift happening with a lot of us right now to get
Yeah.
aligned with all of this. So that's perfect. And I put the link below in the comments. So it's there if you guys want to check it out. And Megan's really easy to find. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram and follow her. And yeah, reach out to her if you have any questions or put a comment below and we'll make sure we get back to you.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so happy to be here with you and your community today. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. This was absolutely incredible. I cannot wait to have more people reach with all of this info and use your incredible blueprint because it really is incredible. So, thank you again for sharing with us.
Of course. Thanks so much. Bye, y'all.
Bye.